On Halloween, Joe Biden signs an executive order to exercise authority over the national defense stockpile. Weeks later, Bill Gates warns governments of a smallpox terror attack. 7 days after that, several vials of smallpox are incidentally discovered at the Merck facility in Pennsylvania. The very next day, a rare case of monkeypox is discovered in Maryland.
What else are we not listening to that we need to take action on now?
Well, the idea of a bioterrorist attack is kind of the nightmare scenario because they're a pathogen with a high death rate would be picked. Now, the good news is most of the work we're going to do to be ready for pandemic 2, I call this pandemic 1.
Last year's cyber attack on U.S. software company SolarWinds highlighted the risks of interconnectedness. Hackers hid code and IT monitoring software sold by SolarWinds. So when SolarWinds rolled out updates to its software, it sent out the hacked code too. By attacking a single weak spot, the hackers were able to access thousands of companies' IT systems. Threats like this can create uncertainty as well as huge losses. But we can mitigate them if we work together. Policymakers, regulators, financial institutions, and tech firms and customers must all play their part in safeguarding the system. You have a refrigerator full of fresh food, fresh meats, fresh fruits and veggies, just full of it. And all you got to do is open up the fridge and eat it. But you decide you're going to go into your emergency food supply and eat that food instead. Maybe not the best analogy, but, oh, wow, these rising gas prices, we don't know what we can do. We're just going to go into the reserves. We're not going to turn the pipelines back on that we shut down. We're not going to get the construction back going on the Keystone Pipeline or other pipelines so we can get more oil into the country. We're not going to go energy independent. No. We're going to outsource our energy more. We're going to shut down our pipelines. And then when we have a scarcity, which leads to more demand and then a lack of supply, prices go up. We're going to say, okay, well, let's just use all of our reserves then. Midnight climax, where the CIA was running spy gambits and honeypots where they would take hookers. This is the CIA. This got admitted. In fact, they actually erased like 98% of the documents that they were involved with. This is the CIA. They were able to erase like 98% of the documents of them using honeypots and entrapping people with underage girls and entrapping people with underage boys. But there was one trove of documents that got left behind that have now been published where the CIA would hire prostitutes or underage girls, and they'd lure people into these hotels, and they would stand behind two-sided glass, dummying as a mirror, and this is how they would get all this blackmail.
They have an army of sensors waiting to push that button the minute that we start talking about this story, but it is not making the story go away. The pressure is still mounting on Beijing from the outside because of the efforts of journalists around the world and also diplomats wanting Peng Shuai to be able to speak her truth.
Boy, that's funny. People being disappeared off the internet, live feeds being cut and censored. Boy, oh boy. That's, sounds familiar, sounds interesting. An army of censors, an army of narcs. CNN complaining about being censored in China? What? Oh, that's right. CNN calls for censorship in the West. CNN calls for censorship of InfoWars. CNN calls for censorship of Republicans. CNN celebrates the censorship of the president, Donald Trump, the censorship of Alex Jones, the censorship of Owen Schroyer, the censorship of Trump supporters. They cheer it on. They've got their armies. CNN has their armies of censors.
My friend and I, Gary McBride, found this video of Roseanne Boylan being beaten by a policewoman, if you look closely. And We had suspected that she was beaten before by a policewoman before she died because we had spoken to a lot of the witnesses, but we never found the video. And then we finally found this video. We brought it to the attention of her family in Georgia. And they, after seeing the video, were shocked, but really not that surprised because they were told by the government she died of a drug overdose and they knew she was not on drugs. So it was really actually relieving for them to get this video, as horrible as that sounds, because they wanted to know that their daughter didn't actually overdose on heroin or fentanyl or whatever the government was saying. Since then, they've wanted to do...
I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's just so incredible. George Floyd literally overdoses on drugs, and the media tells us he gets beaten to death by police. And then here's a woman who does get beaten to death by police, and they say she overdosed on drugs.